Batman, Caped Crusader. That's right, folks. We have a new Batman animated series to talk about. It's not Harley Quinn, nor is it Kite Man. This is a brand new one. You might remember some time ago, DC, I think it was at one of their fandoms or something, they unveiled they're doing a couple of cartoons. One of them was My Adventures of Superman, which just had its second season wrap up and also got confirmed for a third season. And they also announced Batman Caped Crusader, where all of your favorite Batman creators were coming back to do a show. You know, Bruce Timm, he's never done anything weird with the Batman property since the animated series ended. J.J. Abrams, is this the only thing he's produced at Warner Brothers since doing like his big deal with Warner Brothers? Even so, this isn't a Warner Brothers property anymore. Matt Reeves is also attached to this, so that's kind of exciting. He's got a good style for this universe. And Ed Brubaker was another one that was attached. 4 guys who are fundamental for this era of Batman, apparently. I say that loosely because I think only 2 of them are really Batman adjacent, and that would be Bruce Timm and Matt Reeves. I think Brubaker's kind of moved away from it. And they're doing Criminal over at Amazon, so I guess it's a good thing like he's getting his name on this now so people are familiar that he's doing a real actual thing with Criminal over there. This show's weird. I don't know. I think it's very invocative of the times that a Batman animated series that was made for, HBO Max is just bought up by Amazon and it's dumped on Prime Video. And I'm like, that is so weird. I think it's just like weird to know like the company that is producing Foodtopia, the Sausage Party sequel, and The Boys just released a Batman animated series. It's such a weird thing to think about. Why didn't Warner Brothers Discovery want this? Why did they sell it? I know, like, the DC Studios thing is, like, shifting, and there's a whole, like, sliding time scale, and everybody's going to weird places and whatever. But this is, like, just your bread and butter. It's just as straightforward as Batman can get. Why wouldn't they want to release it? Even so, why wouldn't Amazon release it weekly? I feel like this would play really good weekly, because then you could almost have the feel of a Saturday morning cartoon like you did in the 90s or the early 2000s when you're watching an animated Batman thing. But releasing all 10 episodes at once, I have to talk about it like a couple days after it came out, so it doesn't feel like it gets to linger. And I don't feel this show is going to linger. That's one of my main criticisms. Like, I think just the way that it came out and under the circumstances it came out, it's just gonna go away. We're gonna have the grifters talk about the female penguin and they'll get mad about it, but then it's just gonna, which is a shame because the show's okay. I guess when it comes to like adapting Batman again, especially in like the animated style, you either have to go completely different in a whole new direction, or you get trapped in like the similarities of the animated series. Like, it's hard to really want to do it again since the animated series is like the clearest cut version of this entire mythology. And you have certain adaptations I like. I'm a fan of Brave and the Bold. I do like Batman Beyond enough. There's other ones in between there that do stuff and get the job done. It's just very interesting that like when Bruce Timm comes back to do like an animated series, it is kind of just him doing a pastiche of the stuff that he did in the first place. That's kind of weird. Like, it wants to be different. Like, you can really feel like they were trying for a simpler feel, if that makes sense. How stripped down can we make this? It is set in an ambiguous era, the 30s, the 40s, whatever, and that's cool. It's less, techy and more just like the gadgets and the stuff we had at the time. That's pretty cool. And then it gets into this thing where, because it's so stripped down, it takes away a lot of like the feel for like the backgrounds and the characters in the background. It is very plain. It is very stiff and plain. There are complete segments where nobody is moving in the background, or the only thing we see actually happening is like the character moving their mouth. There's a lot of that. And it's animated series. That's going to happen no matter what. It just looks really flat. It looks really stiff. It doesn't feel like there was a lot of like design put into it. I think where the design did come in was for the characters that we have as the villain of the week. I do like the designs for all of the supporting cast. They're very unique, evocative of another time of Batman that we don't see much anymore. But the ones that really stand out, where I'm like, oh, they actually tried here. They really put in some significant effort, is the villains. Now, some of them look better than other ones. I'm not the biggest fan of this Two-Face design. The Firebug was as good as you're going to do. And then some of them they went really hard for. I really love the Basil Carlo look for his Clayface. That's my favorite episode for just because that's like awesome. I love what they did there. And I like the look of Catwoman for the most part, and the Harley Quinn's fine too. I really think they really like spent the most time designing the Selena Kyle model. Something about her just looked so specifically designed compared to the rest of them. Where like, we have to make this one have a very distinctive face, so you know she's the object of affection. And that just became like a really distracting thing when she was in the show. I'm like, oh, why did they make her look so specific and unique compared to the rest of them? But you know, Montoya looks good and Barbara looks good. I've always struggled with like a Barbara that's a lot older than Dick and like more contemporary to Bruce. It never truly works for me. I know why they do it in these types of stories, but I feel like there's other characters that you could have take that place, and then you could do the Barbara thing later. I don't know. A younger Barbara I think works better. I'm glad Bruce Timm didn't lean into that thing where it's like, are they like a thing that like each other? There's none of it. I'm glad. And this Bruce Wayne, he's kind of fun. You know, it is Himesh Linklater that does the voice. Yeah, that's pretty good. He does good. I mean, it's hard to emulate the best, but he gets pretty close, and it's his own voice, and it's very distinctive, and he gets the job done. Just because you have to follow in the footsteps of the most iconic voice of all time doesn't mean you're a slouch. You know, if we didn't have Kevin Conroy, I'd put this there near the top. You know, it's not a bad interpretation of the voice, and he distinguishes it enough where you can see the Bruce Wayne and the Batman voice, and that's really cool. I guess the writing is kind of weird. It feels very stiff again, and that kind of just leads me to go like, well, we really are leaning heavily into the time period, so we're doing all those tropes of the time, which I wish I liked more, because I'm a huge fan of 40s noir and like Universal Monsters stuff. And maybe that's why the Clayface episode spoke to me the most, because I'm like, this is just watching Vincent Price go crazy, and that's really cool to see, in my opinion. I did like it. I think this show, regardless of just how like lackluster I found the animation and designs, did find its voice somewhere in the kerfuffle of everything that was going on with it. It doesn't have like a distinctive feature where I'm like, oh yes, this interpretation did this perfectly, or had this going for it more than other interpretations. They swung for the fences with some stuff, and for the most part, I think it landed. The only like egregious thing, I don't even know if it's egregious, but where I'm like, oh, I don't know how I like this, is the Harvey Dent story. Some of it got a little lost in translation, but it found itself kind of, you know, this interpretation of Harley Quinn, I get what you're doing here. It's not bad. It's okay. I liked the Gentleman Ghost for the most part. That was a fun story. And this interpretation of Lucius, I thought he was pretty cool. So it did some things right. None of them are like the best interpretation we've seen of any of these characters. I doubt they'll be the worst either. It's just something that's stuck in the middle of Batman adaptations. Wants to play in the noir of the 40s, does it enough. Also wants to remind you that this is a comic book and it's a story by Bruce Timm and Matt Reeves. So there's going to be some weird homages, and some of it's going to work and some of it's not. It's just a fine piece of Batman animation. And when you look around at the other stuff like Harley Quinn and My Adventures of Superman, I don't think there's a distinctive voice compared to those other two. It's sure is a hell of a lot better than that Kite Man show. I would watch another season. I'm not jonesing for another season. If this is just like Amazon being like, yeah, we'll just buy whatever, that's fine by me. It's not really my thing. But then again, when you have Batman the Brave and the Bold, how can you top that? So, Batman Caped Crusader, I am going to give a 6 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.